Okay, so I'm just gonna make a video to help you choose the appropriate size. I don't know what size shoe your horse wears, and shoe sizes, aught, one, double aught, and all that, it's not very standard across the board. So this is an Advantage. I'm gonna show this to your farrier to help you find a size. This is an aught Advantage this is a half mesh 3D Poupard pad in the HM3, which means half mesh 3 size. And so anyway, that fits very nicely. I don't have a smaller Eclipse version. This is the HM4, and who knows, your horse might have a gigantic foot. So anyway, just for size, so, if your horse is in, say, an Advantage aught, you're probably going to want to buy the size 3. But I do recommend, this is the EE4, which is the Eclipse. The reason I like the Eclipse is because it's, you can put a little like Artemide clay in the sulcuses underneath. This is what I'm talking about, to combat debris collection and fungal and bacterial infections. This one, you do need to use dental impression material just underneath where debris is going to catch in your central sulcus. However, I don't really care for this pad as much just because there's a lot of rigidity. I do use it, but my horses are only shod when necessary, and then their shoes come off at the house. I do have a mare who's conformationally compromised, and she has to wear the Eclipse a lot. She stays shod throughout her competition season, even when she comes home. Right now she's on break, so she is barefoot. It's not that big a deal, but I prefer this pad over the Eclipse. They do have a full version, which is not going to be necessary, and in my opinion is entirely too rigid, because what you're getting out of this pad, you're not getting cushion necessarily, maybe some shock absorption. Sorry, the cats are fighting. But this frog actually moves and pulses with the step of the horse, and that lack of rigidity allows the coffin bone to move, things to expand and stuff like that. Also let your farrier know that these pads, because they're so thin and they're structurally strong through the apex, they don't have to be braided in. Just the regular nails that you're going to use to adhere the shoe is plenty. And so also, you never want to rigidly put anything underneath the apex of your frog. And because this is so flexible right there, then you don't have to worry about that either. Some farriers like to take a grinder or a rasp and rasp off these parts of the pad to make a shoe fit. And then some farriers like to take a cutter and cut off the inside. Either way is fine, in my opinion. Now, I would also like to make a shoe recommendation. This is the Blenkinsop by Vulcan. And I love to use this shoe in conjunction with a 3D pad. In my opinion, for horses with your horse's setup, this heel is probably not the best option if used plainly and openly, but when you use it with the Eclipse pad or even the half mesh, you don't have to worry about these heels anymore being a little bit narrow. But it does come in with an excellent built-in, gradiated breakover without eliminating the toe support. The problem I have with Natural Balance is that we can't just shoe the back of these horses' feet just because their toes are a little bit long. You still have to support the toe. Otherwise, you're going to run into issues down the road. Oftentimes, I will set the shoe back slightly. I mean, so slight that it's probably not even as necessary as I do it. But that's just a suggestion. I feel like based on the x-rays, your farrier is really doing a great job. Whoever trimmed those feet should run for president. And so anyway, that's my suggestion. Maybe set the shoe back slightly. If your horse feels awkward or uncomfortable, you can always, you know, put that shoe back forward. You know, I mean, you don't just want to cottage cheese his walls, but you could try to just, I mean, like, don't go past the white line. We don't want to turn this thing into a natural balance, but you can just go about, like, you know, a little bit over the white line, you know, while keeping, you know, everything. Anyway, just, you know, it's up to you and your farrier. I personally feel like he's doing a great job. I think that your horse is suffering some caudal collapse, either based on structure. I don't see the rest of his body. Sometimes when horses get real heavy, they have caudal collapse. So, you know, just things like that. And then also, like I said, when there's no support here in this area behind a horse's foot, and they're in a wet environment or standing a lot, stomping flies, you know, whatever, they can get caudal collapse. Honestly, some horses aren't born with a great, strong, digital cushion, and it's very easy to collapse it through the open areas of the shoe, which is where the 3D pads here, just because this one doesn't fit, the 3D pads really come in handy because, I mean, just as an example, you know, as your horse's foot is resting here, he has this support through here. Whereas, you know, if this is his foot without ground support back here, then his foot is constantly collapsing in there. And again, like your narrower heeled horses and things like that, sometimes they just don't suffer this, but our nice big wide horses, especially if a horse has sort of a heel that kind of wants to grow under, you know what I mean? They are generally going to suffer caudal collapse just naturally. Nobody's fault. Don't fire your farrier. I feel like things look nice in these x-rays, and you know, give them, you know, I think your horse would just benefit from probably this pad. Okay.